This is Smokey Montgomery here from Smokey's Record Shop and Smokey's Tours, and I'm hosting our Christmas party. And this is Julianne Hyde, my co-host, to my left, and to her left is Phil Steigerwald, the guy in the Santa suit there. And on the other side is the Reverend Dave Humphreys from the Fort Wayne Rescue Mission. Now that's a technical name, right? The Fort Wayne Rescue Mission.
It's actually called Fort Wayne Rescue Mission Ministries because that signifies we have more than one thing going on. We have a men's division, a women's division, and so on.
It's not that way in the telephone directory, is it?
Well, yes, it is. It is now.
It says ministries?
Yeah.
Well, I have to read it.
Yeah.
I am here tonight to talk about Christmas with two of my older friends. Phil Steigerwald was Santa Claus for W&D for, what, 35 years, Phil?
Yes, sir.
He was that, and nearly every kid in town sat in his lap and told Santa what he wanted. And to my left is Julianne Hyde. She is a registered nurse, and she now is a complex director of Bliss Hall out at the Fort Wayne Developmental Center. And Reverend Humphreys is the senior pastor and also the CEO, depending on which title he wants to use. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Well, what have you been doing since last year, Phil? Phil?
What have I been doing?
Well, I haven't seen you in a year.
Well,
I'll see you on Christmas.
It has been a year.
It had 1 year exactly.
It was awfully good to hear from you again.
Good. Well, I called you and I said, get on the ball, and he got on the ball.
Yeah, we're right here.
Julianne, what you been doing for the last year? You changed jobs, though, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yes,
you went from 176 nurses to how many now?
Actually, I have 150 staff.
Now?
Mm-hmm.
In that one hall? Mm-hmm. Bliss? I thought she's taking a, down deal. She's gone up there, good. And how long are you in there?
Since February of this year.
Yeah, well, I hope you make it, till next February.
Me too.
And Dave, you came to Fort Wayne with the Baptist Church in '91?
Came in 1991 to be the pastor of First Baptist Church in Fort Wayne.
Is that the one on Fairfield?
It's on Fairfield, and it's the oldest church in Fort Wayne. It's the first church in Fort Wayne.
Now, wait a minute. How do we rate? How does the First Wayne Street Methodist?
Well, I don't know where it comes in. First Presbyterian Church, I understand, is the longest continuing operating church in Fort Wayne. But First Baptist started here and then moved to Michigan for a while and then came back. And First Presbyterian started while First Baptist was in Michigan. But it was the first church in Fort Wayne back a long time ago.
Well, let's see. You had a preacher there that did a lot of public speaking. Was it Phil Pott?
Phil Brook. Phil
Brook.
Yeah.
Wonderful, you remember him, don't you?
Yeah. He was there about 17 years, 19 years, something like that.
I think that's too long for one pastor. I really do. I belong to the First Wayne Street Methodist, and we believe that about 5 or 6 years, about it. They've made enough people mad in that time. Better move on,
Well, he was very popular. He was very popular from beginning, middle, and end. Wonderful man.
Goodness. Well, you got a pretty nice church over there, too. They always have had.
Yeah, First Baptist Church is a wonderful church with wonderful people. Then I've been at the Rescue Mission since 1994.
94?
94, and we just celebrated our 100th anniversary this year. We opened in 1903.
Who was the first executive director?
You know, that
I don't know, but I do know
that's a good question.
There was
it just escapes me. He was there. We've only had, I think I'm the 6th. There've only been 6 really built. Yeah. So we don't have a lot of turnover. We
don't have a lot of turnover.
There's only been about 6, yeah.
Means you have a good retention program.
Good retention program, I guess so. Well, it's a ministry that
they get paid more every year. They can't afford to leave.
That's what it is, and it's a ministry you're called to, and you don't go unless you really feel a calling to that. It's a special ministry, and it's wonderful. And once you find it, if you feel like that's where you belong, and once you go there, you don't want to leave. It's a wonderful ministry.
Well, I think that your ministry now at the Rescue Mission is much harder than the church ministry. Because you have people off the street, you have, what, drugs, alcohol?
Yeah, we have everything.
Mean people.
You know, we say we're the place for people who have nowhere to go. And we take you no matter what, and no matter what you've done, no matter who you are. We would say, though, we get wonderful people. We think our residents, men, women, and children, are just all wonderful. We'll have in an average year between 1,000 and 1,200 residents stay with us. And
a lot of people.
What's amazing to me in the almost 10 years I've been there, on the men's division side, which is on Superior Street, where I'm located, we'll probably...
Well, now you opened up, and we didn't always have a women's division.
No, we began that in about 1981, and then we moved to where we are now, what we call Kara's House, or Grace House, in 1996. So we expanded. The needs were so great. We can house 42 women and children there, and we can house about 100 men at the main division.
So that's it. What do you do with the overflow?
Well, we don't take any more women and kids than we have beds for, because the facility just won't allow it. There's not a lot of floor space. We squeeze 42 people in there, and that's a lot. We do take extra at the men's division on Superior Street. We have cots, and when we run out of cots, we have mats. We put them all over. We've probably had as many as 130 men there at a time. Yeah, that's really more than we want, but we'll do that. We never turn a man away, who meets our eligibility criteria. We'll find someplace for you.
We used to have one of the people at your place come up and help us with the cleaning down there. His name was Mike somebody, and he started giving away coats, overcoats himself. Started his own ministry.
Yes, you're thinking about Mike Starkey.
Starkey, that is who it was.
And Mike is a student at Taylor, Fort Wayne.
Now?
Yes, he is. Has been for several years, and he also works part-time for us on our staff, and he's a wonderful man.
He is a wonderful man.
So you must have a lot of success stories.
We do. We have a lot of people who go through what we call our intensive restoration program, and men and women have to commit to at least 6 months of full-time work. They don't do anything else. They work on all the issues that led to their homelessness. And so after 6 months, they can graduate, go into our transitional program, live there longer while they're stabilizing and going to school, finding a job. Then when they have enough money saved, they can move out. So we have wonderful people. And I tell you what... You
have people coming and going all the time then, don't you?
Coming and going all the time. We have crisis people, we call them, who come for up to 30 days at a time. Then they have to move on. And our program people are there for 6 months or longer. So we have... Some people are there for a year, some are there for more than a year. Some are there for a night, some are there for a week. We will fill in a typical year about 40,000 beds with people during a year. It's a lot of sheets to wash, by the way.
I send you a lot of business, by the way.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
They come putting a bite on me. I said, no, you're the wrong place. Down on Superior.
And we want them to put the bite on us. That's why we're there. You know, we have a lot of people don't realize yet that we have a community meals program. We're open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week.
Really?
For anybody in the community.
Needs a meal.
Anybody who needs a meal. And it's a sit-down meal. It's a hot meal. St. Mary's Soup Kitchen has a wonderful ministry, both downtown and at their satellites, of giving you soup and bakery to take home. But ours is a sit-down meal. You can come in, and what we're seeing, Smokey, over the years, more and more entire families coming in, especially for the evening meal. Oh, yes.
Yeah, I saw several of those on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and we have a lot of women coming in by themselves now. We didn't used to see that. And you don't, of course, this isn't for homeless people. This is for people in the community who just need a meal and maybe don't have the resources. What we also see, Phil, more and more, we're getting widows who come in and they say, you know, I have a can of soup at home, I have something to eat, but I get so lonely. I live by myself all the time. So a lot of the elderly people in Fort Wayne will come to us for companionship. It's a regular community there. It's not unusual in a given night that we'll have 140 people having dinner there.
That's wonderful.
That's both our residents and people from the community. But you can come lunch and dinner 7 days a week for free. You can eat 14 meals a week. That won't cost you a thing.
Wow.
Well, Phil, let's talk about how did you get started as Santa Claus at W&D? How did that happen?
How did that happen? Well, I replaced a very dear friend, a gentleman by the name of James Wars, whom I'm sure most of you will recognize. And Jim decided to quit, and I got a telephone call from down there to fill in for 1 day on Thanksgiving.
1 day?
1 day. And went down there and was there 35 years.
You don't want him in your mission. He's rid of it.
And glorious years, glorious years. I've seen some wonderful times with children. I've seen some very sad times with children. And you cannot be Santa Claus anywhere and do it correctly if you don't know how to handle all of these type of incidents.
Well, now, I came to Fort Wayne, Phil, in '52. And that was in the heyday. They had the window display.
Right.
Everybody had to go by and see the window display.
Those were
And
wonderful.
yeah, true.
Yep, they were there. They were glorious. A gentleman by the name of Walter Tharp, who I haven't seen in a long time, but he was in charge of decorating those beautiful big posts in the middle of the store that were covered with red and green, and with the windows. That was Walter's job, and he's still an artist working in this community.
I like the one sign he had in the elevator. You went down to the lower sales floor, no basements. Lower sales floor, I like that.
Yeah, but he was great. He's still great. He still does a lot of artwork in the community.
That's great.
Yes.
Julianne, did you see him while he was Santa Claus?
Yes, I did. I saw Phil many times.
Really?
Yes, I did. We used to frequent Wolf and Ness hours when it was there. We had our typical, we started at Murphy's. That was the first stop. Dad would drop Mom and I off on Saturday or our shopping day. We'd start at Murphy's and we'd do the walk. And we went to Wolf and Ness hours, and we would spend hours in there. And then we'd go to Stillman's and Patterson Fletcher's, and I think it was C&N. There was an M&N shoe store. And
Myers McCarthy.
And there was C&H shoe store next to
Correct.
that. And then we'd go to Patterson Fletcher's, and we'd go to the Hillman's store across the street. Was my favorite store. It had a great staircase.
Which one?
Hillman's. It was the China shop.
Goodness, yeah.
But yeah, we spent a lot of time in Wolf and Ness hours. And then after a while, they stopped having the Santa, and then they had, I think, the combination of the talking Christmas, it was the living Christmas tree.
Yeah. As things began to dry up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing about W&D, about the Christmas, is that both of the owners of W&D were Jewish.
Absolutely.
And yet they couldn't have been more corporate, could they? Couldn't have been more. Bill and Irvin, was it?
Yeah. And there's no family in this community that did more for Christmas.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, give us
Absolutely.
a couple of interesting, in 35 years, there ought to be something interesting to happen to you.
Well, you know, there are, as I've told you, there are funny things that have happened, and there are also sad things that have happened.
Well, give us one of each.
Well,
Give us one of each.
At dinner time, I made several trips out to see different people who needed a visit from Santa Claus early.
Oh, you made the personal trip?
Oh, yeah, and we arranged with our wonderful Fort Wayne Police Department to transport me because time was limited.
No, he wanted them lights on top so he could go through the red light. That's what he wanted that for.
And they sent along their photographer, and we would go and see some very ill children and some ill adults who wanted to have Christmas in their neighborhood before Christmas actually arrived. And that was really a heartwarming trip each time that you did it. But there also were funny times, as I said. One night I was going out and came out the door on Bar Street, all dressed in the Santa Claus regalia, and the squad car was there with a red light going around, and they put me in the back seat. And just at that, some Weisenheimers across the street said, "Well, it's about time they arrested the old guy." Real loud, so everybody around could hear it.
Hear
you
it,
know?
yeah.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, so those kind of things do happen. Yeah, but the 35 years that I spent there, I made a lot of friends, and
You did
just
that.
received a nice greeting in the mail day before yesterday from the Latzes
Really?
for Christmas. Yeah,
Well, you also sang at weddings and things like that, didn't you, Phil?
lots of them. Yeah.
Well, I saw you one time at Calvary Temple,
Yep.
and I kept looking for the group. One voice. I thought, how can anybody make that much right? One voice. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I have had the fortunate gift of being able to sing, and
Good.
it was great. I spent just 2 years ago. I retired from being a soloist at Plymouth Congregational Church for
Just 2 years ago?
50 years. And
My goodness. Yeah, but he never could play the guitar. That was always a problem.
You know.
He couldn't play a guitar and didn't sing country.
Yeah.
You had 2 strikes on you right there, Phil.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you know, there are people who don't sing with guitars.
Well, Julianne, what are you doing now? You're at Bliss Hall. And how many people do you have to be involved with for Christmas celebration? 150, 200?
We have all of our residents, and in Bliss Complex we have 54. On the entire campus we have 276.
Oh, yeah.
And then I have the staff that's involved with that, and then their families.
Families? Staff and their family, yeah.
No, residents' families.
Really? They can come in? Well, a woman in charge of that place for 100 years up there was Kay Lance, and she just retired. Anytime you're in a business where you've got, you know, you've been there years and you got everything made, and then all at once somebody quits. I'm sure I'll say the same thing at the mission when I go down thinking, what happened? What happened to Dave Humphrey?
Happened to old so-and-so, yeah.
Don't forget all that.
What's his name, yeah.
But you've already got through your Christmas celebrating, have you?
Well, we have multiple things that we do throughout the year, but our major staff and resident Christmas party we had last Friday night, which was really nice for them. We had a lot of involvement from the staff, and they were just so excited, and the residents got all dressed up, and they came over, and everything was decorated, and they just had a ball. And we're also taking advantage of all the community programs that are going on, the Festival of Trees, the gingerbread exhibits, and those kinds of things. We've really been able to.
Transportation and all, huh? That's
right.
great.
We have our own transportation, so we just schedule groups and they go out, and it's just been absolutely wonderful. On Christmas Eve, they're planning a holiday sing-along. They'll have the Christmas gift exchange on Christmas Day. So there's a lot going on out there. So,
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I do a record party, Phil, every second Tuesday of the month. And we've been doing it for years and years. And you know, like you said, they bring them in a bus. And I think we've missed 3 or 4 in all those years, 43 years, because of weather. The only thing that'll get us is ice. Can't help people walking around on ice, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But we just had a party for them Tuesday night. And we have a professional Santa Claus from down south. Name is Harold Klein. And he's been coming down year after year for our Christmas party, no charge. But I always tell him next year we're going to double your salary. We do. But he comes in and I play the guitar and entertain the kids, you know, he's got the whole world in his hands, and old MacDonald had a farm. They really like that. And then I say, shh, they got here somebody. Then here comes Santa Claus here, and he comes in and does a fantastic job with those kids. He's a professional, he's no amateur, but he's been doing it. And I just want to say, Harold, thank you very much.
Sure.
And keep the change. Well, now, Dave, what do you do for Christmas down there? You have any decoration or anything?
Oh, yes.
At the mission?
We both at Kara's house, the Women and Children's Division, and at the main mission where the men are, there are a series of parties. Some of them are sponsored by churches and different social groups, service groups. They come in, and it's wonderful. We have churches and individuals donate presents for the residents and for the residents' children who may or may not be living there with them. So December is pretty well a good party time. Lots of cookies and parties and gifts, all donated by the community.
Yeah, a lot of cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, and then of course on Christmas Day there's our annual Christmas dinner for the community from noon to 3, where we invite everybody from the community to come in and have a wonderful ham and turkey dinner with all the trimmings for free, of course.
Well, I can vouch for the quality of the food in a couple of ways. But it is a wonderful program, and I think, now every town doesn't have a mission that actually do.
No, we've got, there are about 10 in Indiana that are affiliated with our organization, the Association of Gospel Rescue Missions, which is the largest in the world. We've got about 300 missions. There are a number of missions that are not affiliated with us, but most of the major missions around the country are.
Well, how did you get here? Did they just come out to the church and say, knock it off? come down and do something worthwhile?
Well, they may have, but I was the pastor to Reverend Gus Paris, who for 10 years led the mission, and I was getting ready to leave town and go to another church, and he said, before you left, you need to come down and talk to me, because I know your heart. I'm getting ready to retire in a few months, and I want you to take my place.
Ooh, what a compliment.
So I went down, and he was right. I fell in love with the place, and then it was up to the board of directors, and then they talked with me, and they extended the call for me to come, and I certainly wanted to do that. You know, he did a tremendous job of leading the mission. We had a wonderful board, still do. Many volunteers. We have over 1,000 volunteers a year. So we have a lot of volunteers like yourself
and
who
they're
do
quality
wonderful
people.
jobs.
They're not just somebody that can't do nothing. They're people that have talent.
Yeah, they even play guitar, they sing, they just do all kinds of things. So it's just a wonderful place. We have great residents, wonderful volunteers, board members. We have over 40 people on our staff. So we have a lot of people on the staff to help take care of folks.
Now, Phil, was your job pretty much the same every year?
Oh, yes.
Just
Absolutely.
Thanksgiving?
It involved arriving on Thanksgiving. It involved.
Oh, you had a little ceremony to arrive?
Oh yeah. It also involved, you know, being there 7 days a week.
Wow.
Woo!
And
Now, you did get paid for that, I hope.
oh yes, it was a job.
No wonder you could afford to goof off now.
No. The Latzos were very generous, and
They
still
were
are.
wonderful people.
Yeah, people just who don't really know them don't know.
Yeah.
But
Well, I don't hear anybody say anything bad about either one of those, because they were really. I had one problem. I bought a suit down there. Of course, everybody bought clothes there. And I bought a remember the seersucker suit? You ever see one of those?
yeah.
Well, that's back when I was 6'4" and 220 instead of 230. So I was in a doctor's office one time, and I leaned back to a bookcase and broke the glass. And I ripped a little boom in the back of the coat. So I took the coat to the cleaners, and I said, can we reweave it? He said, well, you already got one reweave in here. And I said, baloney. And he showed it to me. So I go back down to WD to the men's clothes. I said, what are you doing to this poor guy? And boy, he got mad because the salesman didn't tell him that, see. So they gave me a new suit, and I'd hate to be that salesman when he came to the store again, because they stood behind whatever they did.
yeah, that's right.
And that's just true.
Very true.
Now, did you ever go out in a sleigh anywhere?
Oh yeah, I've posed for many photographs.
Oh, did you?
And you know, I don't actually.
Well, how come you didn't bring a couple photographs tonight?
Pardon?
Why didn't you bring a couple photographs tonight so we could see you in your heyday?
I thought people's memories would work.
No, they're not. Well, there's thousands of people out there right now that did do that, but there are thousands also.
Yeah. Well, we can look
don't know
forward.
anything about you.
We can look forward to another year, and I'll bring you some.
Bring some pictures.
Excellent.
Now remember that, Juliet. We'll remember. We want you to bring pictures.
All right. No,
I'll
no
put that
problem.
in my
Because a
memory
picture's
bank.
worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
I heard that somewhere.
Yeah. I thought you made it up.
Well, Julianne, now, you are involved in Toastmasters. How many Toastmasters parties have you been to?
This year?
I know your own one, yeah. But
Actually, this
are they fun for you?
They're absolutely a blast for me. And do you know how many I really got to attend this year? One.
Ours?
Yes.
Shame. Well, that's your new job, though, isn't it? Well, we don't get her fired, you know. We got to keep her going. What I was laughing at, we always have a Christmas party, our club, which is Fort Wayne Original Toastmasters Club. And what's the name of that club now?
It is now the Fort Wayne Smokey Montgomery Toastmasters Club 159.
It only took me 51 years to get the seniority for that.
That's amazing.
But Toastmasters is a speech club. People meet once a week. We meet at Richard's Restaurant at Getz Road, Time Corners, 2 hours a week. And I want you, Phil, as soon as you can. Now, we don't have to worry about an invitation. It's every Tuesday night. Of course, that's the first of the year. And Dave, same thing.
Thank you.
And I come out and just see what we're doing. But it's one of the most valuable organizations for people who want to learn how to listen better,
Think better.
think better,
And speak
better. Because if you don't don't listen, you don't think, you don't have a whole lot to say. You know? But they've been in Fort Wayne. We started at the old YMCA, Phil, there at what, Bard, Washington, was it?
Right.
April the 27th, 1940.
Wow.
Wow.
See, you all were just young when you
I was in high school.
You were just,
Yeah, I wasn't around.
but we were there for years and years and years.
Yes.
And it's just a wonderful organization. That's the reason I always like one. Now, some people, Julianne knows, belong to 3 or 4 different clubs.
Huh.
But how in the world can you be active in that many clubs? You know, how can you be really active? Now, your mother is area what governor?
Area 17 governor.
Area 17, her mother is. Last, 2 years ago, she was division.
She was the division
she's
governor.
coming down. She's coming down in the world.
No, she's holding her own.
That's funny.
She's holding her own.
But we've started, I think we have, what, 19 clubs in Fort Wayne now? 19.
And I
clubs
think the
started in
20th
Fort
one
Wayne.
is in the works.
They tried to start one down at your place, but you couldn't have regular attendance.
Yeah,
I said, well,
we
they
already
have
do
a
that.
program. I don't know why they couldn't do
Yeah.
a one-a-week deal.
Yeah, we tried that, didn't we?
Well, what happened?
Yeah.
Well, that's your old buddy, Bob Lyman.
Yeah, Bob Lyman did a great job, and I'm not sure why it's not still going on, except as you say that we'd have people there, for a few months, and then we'd lose continuity. So,
Well,
but he did a great job
we're
with our
going to send our
residents.
#1 Toastmaster salesman, Emily Hyde. And she can't say you will quit.
There you go.
If Emily can't say you, but I don't know how many clubs she started. I know 3 or 4.
I'm not sure, but she's still active in 7, so.
Oh, really?
Thank
Yes.
goodness.
And
Well-
she just loves it.
You know, we all are in the do-gooder business, one way or another. And the thing about Fort Wayne, Phil, is I think there are so many people that are willing to help out when they don't get any money for it. Have
Absolutely.
you found that out?
Oh, absolutely. And I've always told people since I've been at the mission, and I go to conventions, conferences with mission people from around the entire country, and I tell them that the people in Fort Wayne are the best to volunteer and the most generous with their gifts of any place I know of. And I can actually document that with my mission brothers and sisters, because whenever we have a campaign for Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, whatever, our average gift is always...
Is it $15 you asked for?
I think you're sending me $1,000 a year now. and if you're
Now,
a little...
Phil could do that.
If you're a little light, we can work on that. But I thought you committed to $1,000. But the people here will give an average gift that's much greater than most other parts of the country, and they do it consistently.
Well, you know the reason I believe that's true? Because the level of leadership that parent has had with Gus and you, it's top drawer, Phil. It's just,
Oh, I know.
I mean, top drawer leadership.
Well, thank you.
And I think if that is one of the big reasons that people help, because they know it's only up and up.
Well, and I appreciate that, and I'd like to think that that's true as well. But it's not just us; it's the other organizations, it's people who are involved with many kinds of civic duty. This is a town where people can make a difference, and I've said that to so many people who've moved into town after I've been here, that if you want to make a difference, you can do it in Fort Wayne. If you move to Chicago, you can't make a difference. It's too big.
You're just absorbed.
Yeah, but here, people in Fort Wayne welcome you. You don't have to live here for 10 or 20 years. You don't have to be wealthy. You don't have to have a high position. If you just want to help in this town, people will not only allow you, they'll invite you, and you can make a difference for good in this town. Everybody can, no matter what your position in life. That makes this the best town in the country.
I joined the Fort Wayne Chamber of Commerce back in '52, and they gave me so much help. I was a pharmaceutical salesman. I was a legalized drug peddler back then, and never had a job like that before. And Chamber of Commerce had all kinds of people that they were good at that, and they couldn't do enough for you. And I always have appreciated that, always. I called on every doctor, Phil, in 50 miles of Fort Wayne.
Wow.
I've been thrown out of some of the best offices. Well, Julianne, now what have you done besides nursing in your long life?
In my long life, I went to school, and basically I've done mostly nursing. I went and,
Well, what got you to that? Were your mother?
When I was in 3rd grade, my teacher asked me what I was going to be when I grew up.
3rd grade?
And I said, I'm going to be an RN with a master's degree in science. And every time they asked me that, that's what I said. I went away to college, and my mom said, what are you going to be? And I said, an accountant. And a year and a half into my college education, I had a roommate who was having nursing classes, went to her classes because my classes were not quite as exciting. So I started going to her classes. Of course, my mom was wondering why I wasn't doing well in the accounting classes, but I was actually going to my roommate's classes and found that that was my love. If you gave me the chemistry classes and the anatomy classes, that's where I loved that. And I came home and said, I don't want to be an accountant anymore, and went to school and became a nurse. And Mom went back to school at the same time, and so we went to nursing classes together and just had a ball.
Well, now, your mother worked at Lutheran Hospital for a while, didn't she?
We both did.
There?
Yes.
You both did?
Yes, she worked
Any
at
other hospital
Lutheran.
you worked at?
I used to work at Lutheran Hospital in their intensive care unit, and then I would work 6 12 hours in a row, and then I would have 8 days off. On those 8 days off, I worked in Parkview's critical care unit, their coronary care
That's what
unit.
you call, is that greed?
I wanted to learn as much as humanly possible, and I thought that was the best way to do it. Of course, the paychecks were nice as well.
Well, she's still working for Parkview. You still do transcriptions, don't you?
I do transcriptions.
Medical transcriptions?
I do medical transcriptions, but not for Parkview, for the Fort Wayne Medical Education, the Family Practice Center.
How do they give you the transcription? On tape? Or you have to listen to a tape and hear well enough to hear what the doctor said, and you got to know how to spell those words. Yeah, that's a job.
And thank heavens for spell check on the computers these days.
Spell check? That would be handy.
Sure is. And we just had a Toastmaster who started. He's in Bob's club, and he was a medical transcriptionist at Parkview for 41 years, I believe. Jerry McGill. He came to our Christmas party, and I was just amazed because he said he'd done it for 41 years and just loved it.
I said, what if you make a mistake? He said, I don't make any mistakes. He was down at my record shop one time, and Bob Lyman was at the old Bud Bobby, and we got to talk about Toastmasters. And Bob said, I'll make you a deal. If you join the Bob Lyman Club, I will come and get you, every second Monday. I'll bring you to the meeting, and then I'll take you home. Well, of course, I can't do that. So he stole him right out of my office. That Lyman has no pride, you know what I mean? But Jerry McGill, I think, does he have the best attitude you ever saw for a blind person? I mean,
yes.
And knowledgeable. They say he knows everything about sports.
He does. I went to one of the parties. I think it was the summer picnic for the Bob Lyman Toastmasters Club, and he just is full of sports facts. And he's got a knack for knowing those numbers. Sports facts.
Okay. We want to get that straight.
You want me to say that quickly 3 times? I bet you do.
Well, I guess one of my great riches in Fort Wayne have been the number of wonderful people that I've known well. And Bob Lyman was a school teacher and a coach down at Huntington College. And he coached for 2 years. I think they won 3 games. So they unloaded the football and Bob. So then he came to Fort Wayne as a school teacher for 40 years, and he ended up by being Dean of Boys at Wayne High School.
Yeah.
And now he's got some interesting stories to tell you about those high school kids.
Sure.
But here's a man, and Julianne knows this truth. He does so much for other people. He just does so much. And I've had him on this show, and he gets all phone calls. Because either their kids went to school with him, they went to school with him, or they all know Bob Lyman. And he is a wonderful guy, and I consider him one of my friends. He comes down and drinks my coffee, but he never brings anything. You know what I mean?
Hard to believe.
Yeah, he's frugal. I didn't say cheap now, I said frugal.
Yep.
But we have more fun. And Wells Street is really a community in itself. We've got undertakers, we've got everything that you want is on that street, including the YWCA and jewelry store and all that stuff.
But they took out your hardware store, didn't they?
Oh, that broke my heart. We had a Wells Street Hardware there for all the years I was there. and anything you wanted. I mean, you didn't have to walk 10 miles down a road and Lowe's and all those big stores. They had it right there. And all at once, they just flat left. And now they got a grocery store there. I haven't even been in a grocery store because I don't need too many more groceries. But it is a nice place. And I saw a picture. Somebody brought me in, Charlie Willer, who's an audio architect, brought me in a picture of Wells Street, 1920. There were streetcars in front of the shop. I mean, just going up and down the street, streetcars. And of course, they've been gone for a long time.
Yeah.
But that's just good to go back and see pictures. Like I said, most people have not seen the pictures of WD. Try to get a good picture of the store, and of course, some pictures of you. Now that's on the list.
I'm on it.
Yeah,
I've got them.
He'll come over here next week and say, now what was that I was supposed to bring?
I think he'll remember.
Oh, you think Phil will?
I think so.
Absolutely.
I think so.
Got that on his list.
He will, because Juliana called him. That's why he got
Well, he's been Santa for so many years, and how many children brought you their lists that you had to remember?
That was home.
You know, I wish that we had
away
some
from
money to advertise this show, because the Christmas show, if you could hire a regular commercial ad and say, golly, the number of people that would bring back memories to.
Yeah.
But, well, I've got enough money to last me the rest of my life if I die tomorrow, you know.
Yeah.
But people, most Toastmasters, I don't know of any, we have any real wealthy Toastmasters that have money to burn? I mean, besides the Hydes.
I really don't know the answer to that.
No, we don't. We just don't have anybody that's that. You don't have many Toastmasters donating to you, because they're not that. They give you the 15 or 25, but they can't go thousands. And classical music in Fort Wayne, Phil, for many years, got $100,000 a year from Mrs. Peabody over in North Manchester to push classical music. I said, well, you give me $100,000 and I'll do something for country too.
Well, you did a lot for country music.
Yeah.
You did a lot for country music.
I have more fun. The only guy in town I used to argue with, fight with, is a guy named Joe Taylor in the Redbirds. You remember him? And he and I would sit down and argue about, now we talk about country. See, in music, all the good people know all the things, so all you can argue about is in your opinion. Now, in my opinion, the best country and western artist was Jim Reeves, Marty Robbins, Hank Williams, whatever, because it's a matter of opinion. Because we all got the same material. We know that they roll the Grand Ole Opry and all that. But I think probably, like Dave was saying earlier, around Christmas time, though, I still think it picks up a little bit. I think the friendliness, I think the openness, I think the good nature, I think it picks up. I really do. And I love it, because I'm the kind that like to see it going year-round, you know. But there is something.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. How much time we got left? Anybody know?
Oh, we have a while yet.
Huh?
Yeah, we have about 20 minutes.
How do you know that?
Because I just looked at the clock.
She thinks of everything, doesn't she?
Looking at the clock.
It's amazing.
Anyway, so let's take, Phil, I want a couple more stories from you about your years and anything that's exciting.
Well, I think...
Did you ever have trouble with any parents that come in and said, hey...
Well, we had more trouble with the parents than we did with the children. Yeah, absolutely. I had the occasion the parents were sort of restrained in an area while the children came up to see me, so there was plenty of room. And I looked up one day, and here was a gentleman that had brought his children in, and I was talking to this child about being with me on Christmas, and he, I knew his dad, I recognized his dad, because his dad used to deliver milk to our house. You know, when we used to get...
Well, see, the young kids listening don't know anything about that, delivering milk to the house.
Well, yeah, there was the horse and buggies, you know. Yeah.
Some of them even bring it in and put it in the refrigerator.
Oh, yeah. Put it on your porch. Should be there when you get up in the morning. But the point being, I looked at this young man, and I said to him, he must have been 9 years old. And I said, I imagine you folks drink a lot of milk at your house. Now, he had no reason to know why I knew they drank a lot of milk and that his dad was a milkman, except the fact that I knew it. And when you could associate something with the family with the child becomes a much more intense believer. And that is what was happening at this point. So I said to him, I imagine, you drink a lot of milk. He said, yeah, but not as much as we used to since Dad started drinking beer.
How old was he?
9, and this was on our television show from Wolfen Dessauers. And Hilliard.
Well, you had your own television show one time, didn't you?
That's right. My dear friend Hilliard Gates just broke up all over the place.
You know who Hilliard Gates is?
Yes, he and I were in the downtown Rotary Club together until he died.
Yeah, everybody knew Hilliard. Yeah.
They named the building after that, didn't they? Gates Center out at UP.
Yeah, and it was just things like that that kept the job extremely interesting.
You didn't have anybody threatening you or anything like that?
No, only...
Or threatened to beat upset?
One of them thought they ought to put me in jail. I can tell another story of a dear friend who we all will know, and that's a judge, Judge Joe Christoph.
Oh, Joe.
Joe and I
He's an attorney, isn't he?
Yep.
I saw a sign.
I went
I was going down Clinton Street, I saw a sign that said Christoph. They had two of them. Christoph and Christoph.
Yeah, they're in the real estate business too.
Yeah, big sign.
Oh yeah, but he and I were kids together, and the story that I wanted to tell you about him was that there were times when I would do a party the evening before arriving at Wolfen Dessauer and then come in dressed, ready to go to work on the floor. And so at the same time, I was a member of the city council for 8 years.
You were?
Yeah, And so I thought, well, now I'll just go through Old City Hall and say Merry Christmas to all my friends. And so I started down through the hallway, and I went up to the old council chamber upstairs on the second floor, which people will remember. And I walked in, and here's the judge presiding, Judge Joe Christoph, and also sitting over in the side with 2 policemen guarding them were all the prisoners. Oh. And so I walked in yelling Merry Christmas and shaking bells, and just stirred the whole room up.
My.
And the judge looks up and he says, Santa Claus, nice to have you here. I said, Santa Claus? I said, Judge, do you as a judge really have Christmas in your heart? And I don't know where it came from, but that's what I said.
Well, that wasn't exactly
and
PR, though, you know.
No, I understand that. And he says, why? And I says, well, if you really feel that way, you ought to turn these prisoners loose.
Whoa.
He says, Santa Claus.
He still speaks to you?
Oh, yeah. He says, Santa Claus, get out of here. I'll get you for going against the court. Yeah, out the door I went. Because
Well, no wonder he remembers you, huh?
Yeah, but we speak of things that are interesting or funny or that happen, and this just automatically came from me.
Now, have you done any home movie or anything about your experiences, or have you done any video that will
there are a couple of books out right now that
You have 2 books?
No, I didn't make them. Other people have made them.
Oh, you're in the book.
Yeah, they're in the bookstores about Fort Wayne.
What are the names of them, in case I want to buy one?
Oh, Christmas in Fort Wayne, I think, is one of them,
Yeah.
and then the book that comes out every month about the city of Fort Wayne has some stories in it. And
Juliet, make a note of that. Christmas in Fort Wayne? And what stores have them? Borders?
Well, oh, yeah,
Okay,
they all have them.
Well, I'll have to read that book and read it, so I'll be loaded next year.
And I promise to bring the pictures.
Christmas in Fort Wayne, we have Wolfen Dessauer pictures and pictures of Santa.
Yeah, that'll be great. Well, Dave, any parting shots you want to give for the mission? I know that you're going to be a busy man now for the next couple of weeks.
Well, we're busy all the time, actually.
Yeah, but it's a little extra.
Yeah.
It's not a seasonable business that you're in.
No,
No.
it's really not.
No.
And sometimes we'll get a few more in the winter time, but we noticed starting January 2001, when the economy started going down, intake, especially of men, went way up. We went from, in crisis housing, new people from about 20 a night to 55 a night.
A lot of people.
Yeah, and it's a little bit better now, but we're still way up in the 30s is not unusual for us.
Well, now do you have a deal with some place to buy food? I mean,
well,
we give you a little better deal than it would be?
No, well, no, not really. We buy food from places like other restaurants do because we have a commercial kitchen.
Oh, well, you are, yeah.
We also buy, where restaurants can't, from Community Harvest Food Bank, because there we get to buy for the handling charge of, I believe it's 16 cents a pound now. But really, we get a lot of donations of food, and that's one of our key things. We buy a lot of food, but there is a lot of food donated by, and I kind of don't want to mention any because I'm afraid I'm going to forget someone.
Don't do that. You get in trouble.
But literally hundreds of restaurants, catering houses, hotels, all the big names you can think of, country clubs send us food on a regular basis. Any place you can think of practically, bakeries, grocery stores, and we have volunteers, by the way, who go around to all the major grocery stores and bakeries, and they collect on our behalf and bring us what they call the day-old bread. I'm sure it's more than a day, but the day-old bread. And you think about
it's at least a day old.
It's at least a day old.
Day old.
And all the famous donut shops and pastry shops in town send us their day-old donuts and cinnamon rolls and what have you, and we're just blessed.
Well, you certainly are. Yeah. I would think so.
Incredibly blessed. And a lot of times the donations come in from businesses at night, like the restaurants and so on, and I'm not there at 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. So people will come up to me and say, well, my company had an office party and we had a lot of food left and we sent it over, and did you see it? And I said, well, no, when did it come? Oh, we got it there at midnight. And I said, well, I wasn't there, but I'm really glad it came, and I'm sure we ate it up today because we have to eat it within 24 hours.
Any cornbread?
You know, we don't get much cornbread.
Sometime.
We do get deer during deer season. We get a lot of deer donated to us, and that's wonderful.
Well, one of these days when you get some cornbread and buttermilk, invite me down.
Okay.
Put that on your list.
We will make that, but we don't get it donated, and I'm not sure why, but I don't think.
Well, see, cornbread is a delicacy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but we make it. We have an excellent.
I don't want it too thick. I don't want it yellow. I want white.
Okay.
And I want it thin and a lot of crust.
You're a little picky, aren't you?
Oh, I'm an expert on cornbread.
So you want your cornbread less than 7 1/4 inches thick.
Right.
A lot of crust.
Yeah. Well, I want to hear a good story from you, Juliet. I know that in all your years, you were at Lutheran Home how long?
I was there 8 years.
8 years.
I was there 8 years.
Well, give us a funny incident. Anybody want to burn the place down, or anybody want to?
No, we really didn't have funny incidents. I think that we had more heartwarming. We had a lot of fun. Of course, we had the proverbial decorating of the Christmas trees, and then of course we had a lot of wheelchairs and walkers, and they would get too close to the Christmas tree. It would catch on one of the strands of lights, and they would go down the hall walking and dragging the Christmas tree behind them. But those were just, to us it was more when we had the people that were 100 years old or greater, and we would have the stories of what they did when they were younger. And just like when we had our Thanksgiving show with Pluma Orchid and Maggie Jackson right here.
Woman sat here who was 99 and just as lucid and clear-headed, beautiful lady.
Yeah, and they have so much to share, and you learn so much, and you thought about what it was like when they were young and they had their Christmas. And just like Maggie was saying, you know, at Thanksgiving and Christmas time, it was when they had good food.
The only time.
It wasn't the commercialized, we're having presents and doing these things, and although that's very nice and it helps make that festive feeling,
money to do that.
It was really nice to hear what it was like back then, when it was really good food. That's when everybody baked, and you had the cakes and the pastries, and you basically gained 10 pounds, and that was a good thing.
You know, there are two smells I just love in the house, Phil. One of them is baked bread. I just love to be able to baking bread, and the other one is popcorn. I think those two smells.
Yep.
I come out of a bakery, which is across the street from you there, Perfection Biscuit Company, and now they only bake so often. But boy, you walk down Wells Street there, you know,
Yeah.
Fairfield, and
Yeah.
my
It's there.
And if you weren't hungry before, you're
Yeah,
hungry
you'd be
then.
hungry then.
Yep.
Well, one of the things that we haven't talked about that we must talk about is all that decoration that's on the side of the bank over here now used to be at WD, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
All those Christmas lights. And what was involved in getting it from there over here?
Well, the decorations were taken off, of course, when the fire happened,
Yeah.
and were stored in another building the Wolf and Dessauers owned. And the Electric Union here in Fort Wayne and
Boy, they
Carpenters
must have done
Union,
thousands of hours of work there.
and they went to work and restored that whole thing.
Wow.
How about the bulbs? Most of the bulbs had to be replaced, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of donations for that. And
Yeah.
that's how it got to where it is now on the bank building.
I think that's one of the, beginning of Christmas here?
Yeah.
The lighting of the...
Now, who designed those originally? Does anybody know who designed, like, the wreath and the Santa and the sleigh?
No, I do not know that. But it was done by a commercial company.
Wow.
They didn't do that free, I'll bet you.
No.
Well,
you-
Wolf and Dessauer, like we said, was a rock of downtown
Oh, yeah.
for all those years, and it just broke my heart to see that building
Yep.
burn up. And
When it went, Fort Wayne downtown started to go from a business community to an office community.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
My church, the First Wayne's right down the street there. so-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to belong to that church.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah.
What'd you do, get kicked out or what?
Oh, over 50 years ago, I changed.
Well, what's interesting is the Fort Wayne has changed since I've been here.
Yeah.
I remember when I came in '52, you didn't have any overpass downtown.
Mm-hmm.
If you got there with the train on Calhoun Street, you were clear back up to Jefferson, you know,
Yeah.
lined up. And they'd be there for, back then they didn't have the law. Now they got a law, you can only block it at 15 minutes. But they did it a lot worse than that. And then all at once they going to build and boy, that was a blessing for downtown Fort Wayne,
Sure.
that particular thing.
But downtown at Christmas used to be a really big event. I
You could-
mean, it seemed almost bigger because
You-
they had the Christmas tree by the Embassy
Yeah.
Theater that they would light up, and they had it on that it was an overpass
It
that
was
they had.
so crowded on the sidewalk, you get pushed off in the street.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
people would, you know.
Well, you see, when you've got something like they had for 35 years down there, that's the backbone of it all, and then everybody else wants to get in on it.
Yep.
But since they left, we're going to have to start another one somewhere, Phil.
Well, we could.
There we go. There we go.
Start another one somewhere.
We could.
Well,
It's a 5-minute sign.
oh my Lord. Well, 5 minutes. That means that you people have a minute apiece, and I have 2. Because we're going to sing the last 2 minutes. So, 1 minute, Phil. Closing thought. 1 minute.
1 minute. We should be singing Jingle Bells because that's what all the children enjoy.
Well, we would do that in the last 2 minutes. That's not
Okay.
true. Anybody you want to thank?
Oh, to thank? I thank the people of Fort Wayne for the support they've given Santa Claus. It's a wonderful feeling to know that you were appreciated. And it's just wonderful to be here with so many nice people and discuss the things of the past.
Well, that is absolutely true, and you must have a million friends. Dave, 1 minute. Anything you want to talk about?
Well, I want to thank my wonderful wife, Gloria, for putting up with me. In 4 days, it'll be 24 years we've been together. So
Well, that's
I'm
pretty
very
good.
blessed.
Great.
And I know that's not long for some, but it's got to be long for her. and she's wonderful, and our daughter Kim. We're just very blessed to have our family together here.
Now, is this in lieu of buying her a present?
I'm hoping. Do you think it'll work? I may not. It may not. Well, I just want to thank all the wonderful people of the Fort Wayne area, Allen County, Northeast Indiana. You know, we've been there 100 years simply because people care. They care about homeless men, women, and kids. We don't take government dollars. We don't charge. So everything we get just comes from donations from people.
Wonderful. Hi, Julianne. 1 minute.
Boy, in 1 minute, there's an awful lot of people to thank. We have all the Toastmasters in the Fort Wayne area and in District 11. we definitely do wish them all a very Merry Christmas, and to those that we lost throughout this year, they will be in our prayers through this season. All the people out of the Fort Wayne State Developmental Center, all of the staff, all of the residents, especially those at Bliss, who I know are currently watching television from 7 to 8, and yes, this is an approved television time for them. But we have just thousands of people that have just been really supportive of the show for the last year, and it has just been really wonderful, and we thank all of you for your love and support, and we wish all of you a very Merry Christmas and a very safe, healthy, and happy New Year.
Well said, would you say?
Very
well
nice.
said.
Very nice.
Okay, Phil, we're going to do Jingle Bells first.
Okay, that's the first
Let's
song.
start.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on the ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey!
Right. Now we got to go to our closing hymn, one of my all-time favorites, Silent Night.
Yeah, it's a great hymn.
Go ahead, Phil.
The great hymn is very familiar. This is a hymn which I used at the closing of every Christmas party.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and I would advise all the children there that they should not forget what the real meaning of Christmas is.
That's right.
That Christ was born on Christmas. And we would sing Silent Night, Holy Night together. So let's do that now. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace.
Well, let me just say thank you, Phil, for coming.
I'm
Phil
just happy to
Steigerwald
be here with you.
And Julianne Hyde, and good luck at the school. And Reverend Humphreys, I'll be seeing you occasionally. So.
Oh, well, we enjoy it whenever you come by.
Yo, thanks a lot. Don't forget the cornbread. And to all of our friends that have helped us over the years, and we've had some great guests on the show. And I hope Pluma Orcutt and Maggie Jackson get to see the Christmas show, because they were on the Thanksgiving show. First time in their life. They never had any television. First time. And they loved it very much. Well, we're gone. We're out of here. We're history.
Okay.
Sayonara. What else?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
That's right.
Yeah.